Have you ever held something so precious that your hands trembled with the fear of dropping it? A relationship that feels too perfect to last. A moment of happiness you desperately wish you could freeze in time. That quiet ache, the fear of losing what feels too precious to lose, it weighs on the heart, doesn't it? The constant anxiety that something beautiful might shatter tomorrow. But what if I told you, peace begins the moment we accept that the cup is already broken? For years, I lived in the shadow of anticipated loss. I'd find myself lying awake at night, my mind creating scenarios of how things might end, the relationship that would eventually fade, the health that wouldn't last forever, the opportunities that might slip away. I struggled with this truth for so long. I wanted to protect every relationship, every fragile hope, as if love could last forever without changing. But clinging only made the fear heavier, like trying to hold water by squeezing it tighter in my fist. And then, during my darkest period of anxiety, I heard this ancient story that changed everything. A young monk once visited his teacher, cradling a delicate porcelain teacup. The cup was a gift from his father, impossibly thin, painted with plum blossoms that seemed to bloom anew with each viewing. "Master," he said, holding it with both hands as if it might dissolve into air, "I treasure this cup, but each time I use it, I fear it breaking. Each time I wash it, my heart races. I've started keeping it on a high shelf, admiring it from afar, too afraid to truly enjoy it." The master nodded, understanding in his eyes. He reached for his own cup, equally beautiful, with mountains painted in fading blue. He filled it with tea, the steam rising between them. "This cup," the master said, "has brought me joy for 15 years. Then, without warning, he opened his fingers. The cup fell, shattering against the floor. Tea splashed across the wooden planks, fragments scattering like stars. The young monk gasped, grief rising in his chest. But the master's face remained serene. He knelt, touching one broken piece gently. "The cup was already broken," he said softly. "From the day it was created, its breaking was certain. When I held it, I knew it would not last forever. But while it existed, I drank from it. I enjoyed its beauty, and I was grateful. Because I had already accepted its loss, I could fully appreciate its presence." The young monk knelt beside his teacher, gathering the pieces, and for the first time, he understood, not just with his mind, but with his heart. How often do we clutch the people we love, fearing the day they might leave, or change, or slip beyond our reach? How often do we resist the natural flow, trying to freeze perfect moments in time, only to feel them shatter in our hands? We treat impermanence as the enemy of happiness, when in truth, it's what gives meaning to every embrace, every conversation, every sunset we witness. When I first heard this story, I was in the midst of watching a relationship slowly unravel. I realized I was holding so tightly to what we once were, that I couldn't appreciate what remained. In that tightness, I missed the softness, the fleeting beauty of what I had, while it was still there. The irony is painful but profound. Our desperate attempt to prevent loss actually prevents us from fully experiencing what we have. What if the next time you hold something dear, a relationship, a dream, even your own youth or health, you whisper to yourself, "The cup is already broken," not to mourn its loss in advance, but to cherish it more deeply while it's here, not to become detached, but to love more authentically, without the shadow of fear. This isn't resignation or pessimism. It's the most profound optimism, the belief that we can experience joy without demanding permanence, that we can love without guarantees. Breathe in and feel gratitude for what exists in this moment. Breathe out and release the fear of its inevitable change. Close your eyes for the moment, if you're able. Picture a delicate cup in your hands, beautiful, fragile. See its colors. Feel its weight in your palms. Trace its edges with your fingertips. Know that one day, whether tomorrow or decades from now, it won't remain as it is now. Now, imagine filling it with something nourishing. Bring it to your lips, savoring every sip, feeling the warmth spread through your body. Appreciate its function, its beauty, its presence in your life. Gently set it down. You smile, knowing you fully appreciated it, without clinging, without the constant shadow of fear. There's a lightness in your chest, a spaciousness where anxiety once lived. In that space, you find what you've been seeking all along, peace. Some things and some people will leave. This is the nature of existence. But if you can love them, while knowing they are not yours to keep forever, that is freedom. The cup will break, the flower will wither, the person will change. But when we stop fighting this truth, we discover something remarkable. We can hold everything with both tenderness and freedom. Perhaps this is the great paradox. Only when we accept that everything is already broken can we truly make it whole. And when you next hold something precious, let your hands be steady, knowing the cup was always already broken. And that's why it's beautiful. This applies not just to relationships, but to dreams, fleeting moments of joy, and even your own time here. If this story spoke to you, I invite you to share it. You never know who might need this reminder today. Let this story sit with you, and if needed, come back to it again. You are lighter than you think, and peace begins when you stop clutching and start cherishing. When you realize that impermanence isn't the end of joy, it's the very source of it.